Yay or Nay Show with Alex C. A sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. And now, here is Alex C.
All right, here we go. It is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C, a sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. Lots of stories and stuff to go over today. This could be a monumental day for the Phoenix Suns, starting with the NBA. They have so far won 16 games in a row. However, with that being said, 16 games in a row, the question is, tonight they play the Golden State Warriors. Is it bad news that the Suns got to play the Warriors in order to reach the team mark of 17 games in a row? That will have to be determined tonight. Suns looking for 17 in a row against the Golden State Warriors. Should be one heck of a game. We will be watching. Make no mistake about that. All right. In other news, by the way, Phoenix Suns beat the Brooklyn Nets, by the way, of all teams, to win their 16th straight. I thought that was important to mention just for the simple fact of they got to beat the Warriors to get to 17. They had to beat arguably the best team in the NBA and the Brooklyn Nets to get to 16. And as much as I want to believe that my original prediction about the Phoenix Suns was right, remember I said they'd be a 4th or a 5th seed, maybe somewhere, actually to be more accurate in regards to what I said they'd be somewhere between a 4th and a 7th seed. And right now they're looking like a 1 or a 2 in the West. So again, there's still a lot of season to go. Obviously, they're going to start to lose. How many games are they going to lose, though? That's the question. Again, tonight they're going for their 17th in a row, and they just beat arguably who I have called the best team in the NBA and the Brooklyn Nets to get to game number 16. And now tonight, they're arguably going against one of the top 3 teams in the NBA, a surprising top 3 team, but nonetheless, one of the top 3 teams in the NBA and the Golden State Warriors to try and win game number 17. So again, should be interesting. Now, baseball news, moving over to MLB real quickly. Minnesota Twins center fielder Byron Buxton agrees to a 7-year, $100 million extension. That's not the only baseball news we've got. New York Mets and Max Scherzer agree to a 3-year, $130 million contract. A lot of people talking about this one. And the reason why they're talking about this one so much, in all honesty, I believe they were talking today, they were saying 37 years of age. 3 years, 37 years of age. You just got a $130 million contract. Scherzer, are you worth it? New York, do you believe Scherzer is worth it? Again, 3-year, $130 million contract. Time will tell, but, for a 37-year-old, that's one heck of a bet at Vegas. That's all I'm saying. That is really one serious bet. Moving on to college football news really quickly, and there is obviously a lot of college football news. I ended yesterday's podcast by congratulating one of my favorite coaches, the Michigan coach, Jim Harbaugh, for the victory over Ohio State with his Michigan Wolverines. And now today, kicking off, NCAA football news, Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma to be the USC head coach. Now, here's the thing, though. First and foremost, we all know the story. Lincoln Riley was continuously asked, are you leaving? Are you leaving? Are you leaving? No, I'm dedicated to Oklahoma. I'm not leaving. I'm here to stay. This is the program that I want to build. Now, obviously, leaving to USC. So you have a lot of coaches. He's not the only one. He's an example, but he's not the only one. You got a lot of coaches that are getting asked this very same question. They all seem to be, and there's no way to sugarcoat this. I get it. Media guys don't want to alienate these guys. They don't want to make them upset. I get it. I understand it, but I get to be more truthful than they do. These guys are outright lying and saying that they're dedicated to their programs. They're not going anywhere. They're obviously lying to recruits, telling them they're dedicated to their program. They're not going anywhere. And then these recruits, obviously, good thing things have changed now. Had this been, 8-10 years ago, if these guys committed to one of these colleges where these coaches are leaving, they'd be stuck there. So it's a good thing now that they've made it to where the transfer portal exists. But again, these guys are outright lying. But here's the thing about Lincoln Riley. It's not about him lying. This is not one of my hypocrisy rants or anything like that. What this is about for me is Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma. Think about this. Now, again, I know sometimes I come off a little on the conspiracy theorist side, but if you think about this, again, I like to live in reality. I believe this is reality. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I get it that sometimes I say things that people don't say. I know people are thinking it. I can't be the only one thinking it, but sometimes I say things that people are thinking because they just don't want to say it. They're afraid to say it, or they just haven't said it as of yet. I am not, however, full disclosure, the first one to say what I'm about to say, but it did hit me and somebody said it before I did. So I got to make sure I get that out there. I'm not the first one on this particular thought. However, Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma. So ask yourselves this: what's happening with Oklahoma right now? They're leaving and they're going to the SEC. What happens in the SEC? Well, you got to play other SEC teams. So now, instead of being the big bad wolf, Oklahoma, Texas, leaving, going to the SEC, and being the big bad where they were. So instead of being the big bad where they were, now they're going to be the small sheep in the large ocean, right? They got to play all the power schools, the most powerful schools arguably in the country, right? Alabama, Georgia, the list goes on and on and on. Auburn, they got to battle all the best schools in the country. And now you're not going to be able to go undefeated more than likely as you battle all these schools. So now you're looking at a different scope on things. Now people might look at you differently as a coach. If you were a guy who was always going undefeated or one loss, making your way into what looked arguably to be the national title picture each and every year, or at least be in the discussion about getting ranked for the playoffs, and you go from being that coach and that team to now you're just battling to try and figure out how you can be relevant in your own division, which will soon be the SEC. You leave Oklahoma and you now go to USC, because here's what I find interesting. There's a lot of things interesting about this whole move from Lincoln Riley going to USC. And again, keep in mind in the back of your mind in regards to what I just got done saying, Oklahoma going to the SEC, no longer going to be the big bad, no longer going to be probably the undefeated team each and every year or a one-loss team, or in the beginning, probably not going to be in the discussion for being in the playoff and making a run at the national championship, because again, without the expansion, it's going to be difficult for Oklahoma and Texas, but we're specifically talking Oklahoma. It's going to be difficult for Oklahoma to be able to do that. Why? For the simple reason of, again, you have all the best teams in the country right there in the SEC. LSU, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia. So now recruiting is going to be more difficult, right? It was easier to recruit when you were the big bad in your own division. Now, again, you're a small fish in a very large pond, which in reality is an ocean. Recruiting is going to become more difficult. So now, to make things easier on yourself as a coach, you leave Oklahoma and you go to USC. Now, everybody wants to say how USC is a prestigious job and everybody should want to be there and everybody should want to have this job. But then, again, a lot of things interest me about this whole thing, because you have to ask yourself a whole bunch of questions, which is, number one, why has nobody else of a major name brand, coaching-wise, taken this USC job? Why is everybody that's been the USC head coach not been a collegiate household name? Why is it now that you have a household name taking this job? If it's not for the fact that you're going to the Pac-12, arguably one of the weakest divisions in college football, and you've got a much softer schedule than what you were getting ready to face over there in the SEC. Not to mention, you've got a softer schedule than what you were already facing in what was the Big 12. So you're walking into a much prettier, easier picture. However, again, but the thing is, the national media keeps trying to beat it in everybody's head that this is the better job. This is the one everybody wants. But again, I'm asking the question, Why is it that no name brand head coach has ever taken the reins at USC before? Is it because they weren't willing to pay the money? Is it because they weren't willing to give all the accommodations that a head coach of that kind of caliber would want? I mean, those are two questions. But then the other question that pops into my mind, or is it because if you become the head coach of USC, you don't have a shot at the national title? You don't even have a shot at really being a top 10 ranked school, let alone being in the discussion to be in the playoff to make a run at the national championship. Now, I find it ironic that Lincoln Riley takes this job and all the national media guys, right, Keyshawn Johnson especially because he's a USC homer, is trying to tell everybody that within 2 years they're going to win the national championship. Well, first of all, I'll take that bet, Keyshawn, because this is yet another example of you just being a homer and being wrong. Remember all the lip service you were given in regards to your Dallas Cowboys. Look how you're looking now with that bad assessment. Then there's all the lip service you were given about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look how you were wrong with that assessment. Look at all the lip service you've been given about the Kansas City Chiefs. And once again, you will be wrong with that assessment. I can go on and on and on and on and on without how wrong Keyshawn Johnson always is. And this is yet another example of Keyshawn Johnson once again being wrong. But with that being said, USC is not a prestigious job, not in the way that these guys are trying to make it out to be. When people talk about USC and it being a prestigious job, people are mainly talking about they were the ones to go to the Rose Bowl. It was the granddaddy of them all. It had arguably the largest purse in regards to how much you got for playing and winning in the Rose Bowl. And that's why the Rose Bowl was the granddaddy of them all. The Rose Bowl hasn't been relevant in a really, really, really long time. It hasn't been a big deal to go to the Rose Bowl in a really, really, really long time. Let's face it. It's not. And USC and the Pac-12, show me a Pac-12 team that has been in the Final Four and made a run at the national title. Because when Washington made it, they showed you how weak the Pac-12 is versus the SEC. When Oregon made it, they showed you how weak the Pac-12 is when they went against the SEC. So Pac-12 arguably out of the Big Five or whatever they call it is the weakest division of the Power Five. And you can't tell me that USC is going to be an odds-on favorite to win the national championship in 2 years just because Lincoln Riley's now taking the reins. What this is to me is a shot for Lincoln Riley to continue to be a household name, be a big deal. He'll be able to recruit better than these other coaches have done at USC. He'll have better teams than what these other coaches had at USC. They'll have better records than what they have had in quite a while over at USC. They probably will, at least if nothing else, win the Pac-12 and be the Pac-12 champs. Are they ever going to be Oklahoma? Are they ever going to be as good as Oklahoma? I can easily answer the question right now, and that is absolutely, positively, unequivocally no. USC will never be as good as Oklahoma and what Lincoln Riley built in Oklahoma because the recruiting class, the prestige of playing for Oklahoma is definitely bigger and better than what you will ever have in regards to USC. So the only reason why I would see Lincoln Riley taking this job at USC, it's not because it's the big, bad prestige. It's because, again, if this were an opportunity and everybody thought this was a school that could go to the national championship, then you would have had a household name take this job a long time ago, and you never have. Makes more sense that leaving Oklahoma and going to an easier situation in USC where you face arguably some of the weakest schools in the Power Five, Washington State, Arizona, Oregon State. You know, most of these schools are so weak, it's easy for you to come in if you're a household name and dominate. Lincoln Riley is going to be able to use that as a selling point. I'm going to come in, I'm going to dominate, I'm going to implement my system. All you got to do is come in and play. We'll get on TV. We'll win Pac-12 titles. We'll go to the Rose Bowl. You'll get lots of TV time. You're going to get a lot of notoriety being my quarterback, being my running back, being my top lineman. You're going to get a lot of TV airtime, and you're probably going to be able to continue to enjoy the success that I've always had as the head coach of Oklahoma in regards to getting people to be able to have the ability to play on Sundays and make a living. That's what Lincoln Riley is going to be able to sell people on. But he is not going to be able to get 5-star recruits and top 5-star recruiting classes to go to USC and then compete to go and play in the national championship. It's not going to happen. Pac-12 champs, sure, I'll concede that fact. But will he ever make USC even close to the program that he had over at Oklahoma? No. 2 different worlds, 2 different regions. You're never going to get players to agree to go to USC. I love how Keyshawn Johnson and some of these other homers keep running around talking about it's the sun, it's Hollywood, it's California, it's LA, it's all about winning. Those things, if they mattered, folks, the 5 stars would have been going there for decades. They don't go there for a reason. It doesn't matter. It's the Pac-12. And the Pac-12 is one of the weakest Power 5 conferences that we have in the country. It's going to be very hard to convince people that just because Lincoln Riley is now the head coach of USC, that now all of a sudden in the weakest Power 5 conference, you're going to get enough notoriety to be in the talks to go to win a national title and get that kind of exposure. You're never going to get that. If that was possible, another named coach would have taken this job and 5-star recruits would have been going to USC for decades. The only thing Lincoln Riley, advantage-wise, is going to be able to do, because he's good at recruiting, he'll probably get a lot of those guys from California to go ahead and stay home, sign up, play for USC, which is great. That means no longer will they go to Oregon State or Stanford or Arizona State, not to mention go play for Penn State or Alabama or Georgia. You might keep some of those players. Great. You're going to keep some of those players, but you're not going to get the rest of those guys down south that are the real reason why Oklahoma and Texas and Alabama and Georgia and LSU are the best football teams dominant-wise in regards to putting people in the NFL, because that region is where all the big boys come from. You're not going to, just because you can recruit better in LA and in that immediate area, going to be able to compete against the South. It just is not going to happen. And Lincoln Riley's a smart guy, and he knows this already. Again, so I'm saying he's taking the job because it's an easier job to keep at USC. All he's going to have to do is win Pac-12 titles. Nobody's going to hold his foot to the fire in regards to national titles or being in the playoff or anything along those lines, as long as he can consistently win Pac-12 titles or be in the conversation for Pac-12 titles. That's all they're going to hold his feet to the fire for. That's what he will be able to do for USC. And I'm saying Lincoln Riley took this job because it is an easier job, and that is as simple as 1, 2, 3. Not because of the reasons that homers like Keyshawn Johnson and others have stated about USC being the most premier job in the NCAA. It's not. It's not. And I've already showed you all the reasons why it's not. So, again, it's fun because now I got 24 months of college football to look forward to, so I could prove Keyshawn Johnson wrong and show everybody how I, once again, got it right, and Keyshawn Johnson, once again, got it wrong when USC is not in the conversation for a national championship 24 months from now. So that's going to be a lot of fun to look forward to. All right. In other news, Brian Kelly making the move from Notre Dame to LSU. This one, interesting for a lot of different reasons. Brian Kelly, he's a winner, right? Left Cincinnati, went to Notre Dame. Now he's leaving Notre Dame, going to LSU. He was a winner at Cincinnati. He was a winner at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is more difficult. They've got all of the academic things that block them from being able to have the ability to just bring anybody they want to into the football program. And now he's going to LSU, where it's going to be easier, where you already are right in the perfect region to do all that great recruiting and get all those great 5-star athletes. And LSU already has a lot of good athletes. So really all he's going to do is take what's already there, bring in more, and he's going to constantly and consistently have an open door and be able to bring in top-ranked talent each year. Unlike what's going on at USC, Brian Kelly made the right move. Now, there will be competition. There will be recruiting wars. It's going to be on. He's going to have to do his job. And it seems like 75% of his job, at least the hardest part of it anyway, is going to be the recruiting. So he's going to have to be up energy-wise to do the recruiting and to really, really, really be ready to get down and battle with all the other big boys in order to be able to get all these recruits. But hey, recruiting, from what I'm understanding, is half the fun, and they're going to go in, they're going to go in people's homes, they're going to do what they got to do sales pitch-wise, they're going to land as many guys as they can, and then on Saturdays, they're going to duke it out to be the very best in the nation and win a national title. I think LSU is on the upswing already with Brian Kelly being named. Let's face it, again, he won at Cincinnati, hard place to win. He won at Notre Dame, a hard place to win. You would think it would be a little easier recruiting-wise for Notre Dame because they got that exclusive contract with NBC, and they got all that TV time, and you can make household names of Notre Dame players. But again, it's difficult because the school, because the academic requirements, they've got all kinds of stuff that blocks them from being able to bring just anybody into the football program. So that is the part that's a little more difficult for them. Obviously, Stanford has kind of the same problem that Notre Dame does, but you would still think that, you know, Notre Dame might be the better job to have because the people that are the boosters for Notre Dame understand all of the shortcomings of the actual program, and considering how well they've been doing and how they've been winning consistently and constantly, and they have been in the Final Four to go to the national title and try to play to win it all, you would think Brian Kelly would want to keep that job. But again, maybe he just wanted another challenge, a bigger challenge, and more opportunity, again, because there will be more recruiting opportunity, obviously, going to LSU. It's going to be great. Watching Brian Kelly at LSU is going to be great. Fighting Irish, who's their next coach going to be? That's going to be fun to watch as well. Whoever it is, I just gave you all the reasons why somebody would want that job. Recruiting's not picture perfect, but it's also not the worst scenario in the world either. And with a program that's prestigious, well-known, it's got a household name, exclusive contract with NBC, you can make household names out of players. They got a lot of advantages as well. So there should be some big top name guys looking to take that job at Notre Dame. I know that the current Cincinnati coach is yet again up for the job, or at least in the conversation of the job. Who knows? Is he going to get it? Is he going to get offered the job? We'll have to wait and see. But again, a lot of great moves being made. College football looking fun. Speaking of college football, so obviously there are a lot of coaching jobs available. Lots of names, like always. Anytime there's jobs, NFL, NCAA level, doesn't really matter. You've always got name dropping, people talking. One of the names that keeps dropping, Urban Meyer. Everybody talking about him. Urban Meyer issued a statement. But again, keep in mind, we've watched coaches make statements for a while, especially this year, and they've lied right into the camera, said they're not going anywhere, they're not doing anything, and the next thing you know, bam, they're gone. You found out 24 hours after they got asked the question, they already had a job. But anyways, with that being said, Urban Meyer said he's not interested in leaving the NFL for college football jobs. But again, is that true? Who knows? Cliff Kingsbury, his name's up for the Oklahoma job. But a lot of people have been saying that, you know, they've heard sources and, you know, they say that he's not interested. He is interested. There have been conversations. There haven't been conversations. Now, Cliff Kingsbury himself made a comment in regards to the question because it was directly asked to him. And he said that I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm just focusing on my next game with the Arizona Cardinals. That's kind of a deflection to me. He didn't really answer the question, and he didn't really say no. But at least if Cliff Kingsbury leaves and goes to Oklahoma, unlike all these other coaches, at least Cliff Kingsbury would not have lied. Because, again, it's the lying part that's kind of getting me a little bit. But, again, I understand it. I get it. There's reasons, and there are undisclosed reasons, and reasons we don't need to know in regards to why they can't come right out and say it. But with that being said, you know, maybe they should be a little more political about their answer the way that Cliff Kingsbury just was. Will Cliff Kingsbury be the next coach of Oklahoma? I don't know. I'm not sure. Do I think he really wants to stay in the NFL? I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess we'll all have to find out together. I don't really have any sources, so I got no way to tell you one way or the other. All right, now, NFL Power Rankings, they recently came out. I am going to list them all for you from 32 to number 1. I'm just scrolling down to the bottom here so we can get this thing started in regards to the list. All right, now, kicking it off at number 32, who else would it be? Obviously, right? Detroit Lions. What would you expect? 0, 10, and 1. They've been at the bottom of the barrel ranking-wise pretty much almost the whole season long. But again, I arguably would make them 28 or 27. Even though they got no victories, they're fighting hard. They play hard. They believe in the coach. I like the coach. I like the team. Obviously, yes, they got roster moves they got to make. They got a big offseason that they have to have. But even with this rosterless, and I mean rosterless, or I should say roster of players that are really a bunch of no-names, look at how hard they fight. Look at how well they play. This team could be on the upswing. Detroit Lions come in at number 32. 31. Well, you got to have somebody in here. So Houston Texans make a lot of sense. They're 2-9. So Houston coming in at number 31. Jacksonville at number 30. 2-9 also. And they are coming in at number 30. New York Jets coming in at number 29 at 3-8. Then you have the Seattle Seahawks. Surprise, surprise. I don't think anybody saw this coming. Seattle Seahawks 3-8. Coming in at number 28. Chicago Bears, surprise, surprise, above the Seattle Seahawks. You wouldn't see that coming. Chicago Bears at 4-7, coming in at number 27. The New York Giants with the same record, coming in at number 26. And then, of course, you got the Atlanta Falcons at number 25. They're coming in at 5-6. And at number 24, you got the Carolina Panthers at 5-7. At number 23, you got the Philadelphia Eagles at 5-7. I'm really not disputing any of these, as you could tell. Washington football team at 5-6, coming in at number 22. You got the Miami Dolphins at 21 at 5-7. You have the New Orleans Saints at 5-6, and all of these are middle of the road teams. So they're just basically putting them somewhere. They got to be somewhere. You could have really done any of these teams between 20 and 27, and you would have been perfectly fine matching them anywhere you want to, because again, there is no right or wrong in regards to this particular group of teams because they're all middle of the road teams. Pittsburgh Steelers at 5-1 at number 19. And in all honesty, I wouldn't have Pittsburgh at the top of this category. Coming in at number 18, you got the Minnesota Vikings at 5-6. 17, you got Cleveland Browns at 6-6. You got the Los Angeles Chargers at number 16 at 6-5. You have the Denver Broncos at number 15 at 6-5. You got the Las Vegas Raiders at number 14 at 6-5. There's a lot of 5-5, 6-5, or 5-6 and 6-5 teams. It's amazing to me. And again, you can mix and match this group of teams anywhere you want to, in my opinion. There's no right and no wrong because these are just middle of the road to below average teams. This is where I'm hoping this list is the group that could be trying to reach to get to what I always call the Elite Four. Indianapolis Colts coming in at 6-6, and they're at number 13. San Francisco 49ers at number 12 at 6-5. The LA Rams at 7-4, coming in at number 11. Then you have the Dallas Cowboys at 7-4, coming in at number 10. The way they've been playing as of late, honestly, I would drop them really in the low teens. Cincinnati Bengals coming in at number 9 at 7-4, and I would have them a lot higher than this again because of how they're playing as of late. Tennessee Titans at 8-4. This is good because, you know, they're injured. They've got some issues, and it's mostly injury related. Once they get a little bit healthier, they don't need Derrick Henry necessarily to come back now, but they need that receiving room to get healthier. And if they do, they're going to be perfectly fine. Tennessee coming in at number 8. I'm good with it at 8-4. Number 7, I would not have the Buffalo Bills at number 7 at 7-4. Look, they can't beat anybody with a winning record. They only beat teams that have bad records. They haven't beat anybody who's going to the playoffs. I don't understand why you'd have the Bills at number 7. Again, especially how they played as of late, and look at how they've been losing games. Why would you have them as high as number 7? I would have them somewhere in the mid-teens. Kansas City Chiefs, 7-4. Again, their record lets them be in the top 10. I wouldn't, if I'm going to put them in the top 10, I wouldn't have them at number 6. I've had them a little lower. Kansas City, again, coming in at number 6 at 7-4. New England Patriots at 8-4, coming in at number 5. And then, of course, you have the Baltimore Ravens coming in at number 4. They're at 8-3. I still have Baltimore, in all honesty, number 1 on my list. Tampa Bay, well, what do? They won. It wasn't a game that they deserved to win against Indianapolis, but they won. So I wouldn't have them as high as number 3. I'd have them in the top 10 maybe, but I would not have them at number 3. But these guys are all in love with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay coming in at number 3 at 8-3. Arizona Cardinals coming in at number 2 at 9-2. And then, of course, at number 1, I think this is, pretty much a no-brainer to me. Green Bay Packers, 9-3, coming in at number 1. So there you go. There's the power rankings as of this moment in the NFL. All right, that's going to do it for me today. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. We will talk again tomorrow.